Story recapped here. Today I'm going to explain a comedy, fantasy, and romance film called 13 Going on 30. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. Jenna, a dorky girl, is getting her picture taken at school. Her teacher keeps getting her name wrong, so Jenna repeatedly corrects him, and the flash goes off mid-sentence. When the prints come out, Jenna becomes glum about the ugly results. Matt, Jenna's best friend, surprises her by taking a picture together to document her 13th birthday. Just then, the popular girls called Six Chicks walk up to Jenna and ask her about her pictures. Tom, the leader of Six Chicks, tells Jenna that she wants to go to her birthday party alongside Jenna's crush, Chris. However, they can't make it because they have a group project. Getting the hint, Jenna agrees to write the report for them. On their way home, Matt is in disbelief that Jenna invited the Six Chicks to her party, saying they're not her friends. Still, Jenna says she wants to be cool. Getting ready for her party, Jenna does her makeup. Although her parents are enthusiastic, Jenna is upset about her look. Her mom tells her that even if she doesn't look like the models from Poise magazine, Jenna is beautiful in her own way. Still, Jenna wants to look like a model instead. In one of her Poise magazines, it says 30, flirty, and thriving. Thus, Jenna wants to be 30 already. For her party, Jenna goes to the basement and dances to Thriller. Just then, Matt arrives with her birthday present, a dollhouse that he made for Jenna, complete with furniture and cutouts of themselves. Furthermore, he also gives her wishing dust and sprinkles it inside the dollhouse. The moment is interrupted when the Six Chicks arrive, so Jenna hides the dollhouse inside a closet. As they enter, the girls dump their coats on Jenna. Still, Jenna smiles when Chris and his friends arrive. Downstairs, everyone just stares awkwardly at Matt, who's dancing to his own playlist. Tom stops the music because nobody else knows the song, so Matt just tells Jenna he's going to get his Casio. Jenna, hoping to look cool, dismisses him with a snarky remark, making everyone laugh at him. Just then, Tom makes Jenna play 7 Minutes in Heaven, saying Chris wants to play. Blindfolding Jenna, Tom pushes her inside the closet and asks where their project is. After Jenna tells her, Tom closes the door, takes the project, and leaves with everyone. When Matt returns, Tom says Jenna is waiting for him in the closet. Seeing her there, Matt leans in, but his moment is ruined when Jenna says Chris's name. When Matt says he isn't Chris, Jenna realizes that everyone is gone. She accuses Matt of doing something to make them leave before pushing him out. Locking herself in the closet, Jenna shouts that she hates herself and everybody before wishing that she was 30. Jenna continues chanting that she wants to be 30, flirty, and thriving, as the wishing dust from the dollhouse sprinkles on her. When Jenna wakes up, she finds herself in an unknown room, falling back in shock as she sees her adult self in the mirror. Unable to find her parents, Jenna finds bills addressed to her, discovering that she lives in the apartment. When she tries to call her parents, she gets a voicemail message saying they're in the Caribbean. Hearing someone in the bathroom, Jenna takes an umbrella for defense. The man, Alex, calls for Jenna with just a towel and removes it, so Jenna tosses the umbrella at him before running outside. Down the street, Jenna sees Lucy telling her to get in the car since they'll be late. Panicked about the events, Jenna hesitates but does so anyway. While in the car, Jenna tries to explain to Lucy that she's supposed to be 13, but Lucy thinks she's just hungover. After stepping out of the car, Lucy reminds her that they have a meeting, and that Jenna is a big-time editor for Poise magazine. At work, they whisk off to a meeting with her boss, Richard. Jenna's assistant, Arlene, brings her breakfast before asking if she needs anything else. Hoping for answers, Jenna asks her to find Matt. In the meeting, Richard shows that a rival magazine, Sparkle, has been scooping their designs, so he instructs everyone to prepare for their party that'll let everyone know Poise is still trendy. However, Jenna can't keep up, so when Richard asks for her opinion, she asks to go to the bathroom. Instead, Jenna hides in her office, where she sees a picture of her with Alex and a signed portrait of Madonna. While there, Arlene lets her know that her mom called, but Jenna told her before not to bother her with family calls. Shocked, Jenna tells Arlene to notify her if her parents call. Aside from that, Arlene tells her that she found Matt. After finding out where Matt lives, Jenna rushes to his apartment. At first, Matt is hesitant to let her in, surprised to even see her. Still, he opens the door for her, so Jenna immediately hugs him and sees that he's a photographer. She starts explaining about waking up in her adult body and asks for his help to remember her life, but Matt refuses since he hasn't seen her since high school. The revelation surprises Jenna. Seeing her shocked and confused, Matt walks her home. On the way, Matt explains that they've gone their separate ways. Jenna asks if they see each other on holidays, but Matt says her crowd probably goes to St. Bart's during then. Before parting, Jenna asks who St. Bart's is. Matt joins her in her apartment to show her their yearbook photos. There, she finds out that she became the leader of 6 chicks and is still friends with Tom Tom, who turns out to be Lucy. When she gets a call, she learns that a limousine will pick her up later for the party. Seeing Jenna excited, Matt bids farewell. She tries to invite him to the party, but Matt refuses. Still, Jenna leaves the invitation open. Later, Jenna does her makeup excitedly and checks out her walk-in closet. Then, she goes outside, confidently strutting her colorful dress, large accessories, and funky hairstyle. In the elevator, Jenna meets her neighbor, Becky, a 13-year-old girl who's surprised that Jenna is talking to her because she's usually ignored. The two keep complimenting each other's outfits on the way out. During the party, Jenna meets with Lucy and enjoys refills of pina colada. However, Lucy soon tells her that the party is a disaster because people are already leaving. Then, she notices Trish, Sparkle's editor-in-chief, who gloats that their magazines are selling better. Afterward, Richard asks him if he smells bad because people are leaving. To encourage people to dance, Jenna confidently walks up to the DJ and requests Michael Jackson's Thriller. Seeing everyone's eyes on her, Jenna nervously steps into the dance floor and starts dancing alone. Seeing Matt amongst the crowd, she beckons him to join her. After some encouragement, Matt dances along, making other partygoers join enthusiastically, including Lucy. In the end, even the DJ and Richard join the dance. Suddenly, Matt, finding himself out of place at the party, apologizes and leaves. Over the next few days, Jenna shops and spends a day at the park before reading magazine publishing for dummies in bed. One evening, she goes out for drinks with Lucy. There, Lucy tells Jenna that a cute guy is eyeing her, but Jenna misunderstands and thinks it's the kid, so she walks up to him. Jenna confesses that she thinks he's cute, so Lucy whisks her away, asking if she wants to go to jail. When Lucy points out which guy she was actually talking about, Jenna thinks the man is gross. Outside, they spot Alex surrounded by fans, and Lucy reveals he's Jenna's hockey player boyfriend. Then, Matt walks by and apologizes to Jenna for leaving the party. With him is his fiancée, Wendy, who shares that she and Matt will be leaving the city after the wedding. When Alex joins them, the group is awkwardly introduced to each other. Alex then takes Jenna back to his place and tries to make moves on her. Jenna shies away from his touches and instead asks to play Battleship. Thinking she's playing hard to get, Alex plays some music before starting to dance while removing his clothes. Jenna desperately averts her eyes and throws a pillow at him. The following day, Jenna complains about her night to Becky, saying Alex didn't want to play board games with her. Then, she gives advice to Becky, saying love is a battlefield. During their meeting at work, Richard tells them about their low sales, so they must redesign. Although the other employees are mad at having to change despite being copied on, Jenna says it's their chance to have fun. Thus, Richard assigns Jenna and Lucy to develop a new design. After the meeting, Arlene gives Jenna's messages, but all she hears are nasty messages from her rivals. In her office, Arlene tries to forward her a call from Alex, but Jenna is adamant about avoiding him. Just then, her colleague's husband, Pete, asks to see her, so she lets him in. Left alone, Pete immediately initiates a kiss, so Jenna pushes him away, reminding him that he's married. However, Pete reveals that it didn't stop them from hooking up last week. When Pete tries to convince her further, Jenna kicks him in the groin before walking away. In the hallway, Jenna overhears Lucy ridiculing her in her new act, plotting to work on a design without her. Heartbroken, Jenna walks away as Lucy declares that she'll make her own presentation and let Jenna fall by herself. Lonely in her apartment, Jenna walks to Matt's and invites him for a walk. That evening, Jenna asks whether Wendy is Matt's soulmate. However, Matt doesn't believe in such things. Jenna then asks why they never stayed friends. So Matt recounts how, after the 7 Minutes in Heaven disaster, he played a birthday song for Jenna, but she just threw the dollhouse at him. Jenna apologizes, but Matt says it doesn't matter anymore. Feeling guilty, Jenna tells him to stop being nice because her adult self isn't a good person. Upset, Jenna walks away. The next day, she goes back to her family home. Finding no one there, Jenna goes straight to the basement closet and sits on the same spot she did on her 13th birthday, before banging her back on the shelf. When her parents get home, they hear Jenna in the basement. Seeing them, Jenna cries and hugs her dad, saying she missed them. Unable to sleep in the stormy night, Jenna hops in bed with her parents. The next day, Jenna asks if her mom has anything in her life that she'd like to do over. Her mom says she doesn't regret anything, since if she hadn't made mistakes, she wouldn't have learned how to make things right. Back at her apartment, Jenna looks through their yearbook again and sees that Matt took most of the photos. With an idea in mind, Jenna spends a whole day in the office planning her redesign. On the way out, she comes across Lucy, who claims she was trying to get a hold of Jenna even though Jenna didn't get any messages. Lucy tells tells her that she wanted to discuss their plans for the redesign but then reveals that she's working on her own thing. Unfazed, Jenna says she's doing the same thing. At the park the next day, Jenna surprises Matt with a job offer to be Poise's photographer for a week. When Matt points out that his style is different from Poise's, Jenna says that's exactly the point. Gathering models in school-themed outfits, Jenna and Matt have a fun time photographing for the magazine before joining a dance later that evening. Over the week, Matt spearheads a photo shoot with a class of 2004 theme. Afterward, they look over the photos, happy with the results. While working on the photos late at night, Matt starts having second thoughts about getting close to Jenna, so he excuses himself. However, Jenna suddenly gets a craving for razzles, so they go out to get the candy. Hanging out like when they were younger, Matt gets nostalgic and tells Jenna that he enjoyed working with her. She then tells Matt that he's the sweetest guy she's ever known. This gives Matt a confidence boost, so he challenges her to a swing competition, seeing whoever can jump farthest. They up the stakes, betting that whoever loses will owe the other a drink and dinner to celebrate the redesign being chosen. When they jump off the swings, they end up rolling next to each other. Matt rolls over to get up, but ends up leaning in to kiss Jenna. Later, Jenna shares all the details with Becky and her friends during a sleepover, who fawn over the romantic story. However, she adds that her and Matt's situation is complicated. The girls comment that at least she has someone to dream about, since boys their age aren't interested in them. To boost their confidence, Jenna initiates a dance party with them. The next day, someone covers Matt's eyes from behind, and when he turns, he's surprised to see Wendy, not knowing she was coming home. While having lunch, Wendy says they should fix the location issue, but Matt isn't paying attention. On the other hand, Richard confronts Jenna, confused about why they're presenting separate redesigns. As he panics over the situation, Jenna and Arlene head out to prepare their presentation. During Lucy's presentation, she describes her idea as something that'll kill from chicness. When she asks for Richard's opinion, he just shuts the laptop and closes his eyes. While Lucy throws a fit outside, Jenna presents her redesign, something that brings authenticity back into the magazine. Instead of showing models, she suggests changing them into real women who are happy to be who they are, telling everyone that they need to remember what used to be good. Everyone applauds her presentation, and Richard goes for a hug, choosing Jenna's idea to show to corporate. Jenna excitedly leaves the building just as Matt arrives. Meanwhile, Lucy snoops around Jenna's office and finds mail from Sparkle. Thus, she gives the rival magazine a call. When Matt gets to Jenna's office, he comes across Lucy instead, telling him that Jenna's planning to go for a more established photographer. After getting ready, Jenna goes to Matt's apartment, not minding the rain. She gets there soaking wet, only to be greeted by Wendy. Jenna wants to tell Matt that everybody loved his photos, so Wendy says she'll pass on the message because Matt is getting his tux ready for their wedding tomorrow. The next day, Jenna practices to pitch for her new redesign for corporate, but Richard announces that it's over because Lucy took all of Jenna's new ideas to Sparkle in exchange for them making her the new editor-in-chief. Although Jenna argues that Lucy doesn't have the rights to Matt's pictures, Richard shows her that Lucy was able to make Matt sign a photography release. Angered, she confronts Lucy in her office, but Lucy calls her a hypocrite. She shows Jenna her mail from Sparkle, revealing that Jenna was the mole who ratted out her own company's design idea so that she could be editor-in-chief at Sparkle. Now, Lucy has taken the spot she betrayed her magazine for, leaving Jenna defeated. Going outside the building, Jenna sees Matt's work on a bus for a Sparkle advertisement, making her cry. She hails a cab but recognizes her driver as Chris, her old crush. During the drive, Chris keeps trying to get together with Jenna, reminiscing about old times. Tired of him, Jenna rushes out of the cab into Matt's family home, where the wedding is being prepared. Sneaking into his room, Jenna confronts Matt and clears up Lucy's lies. Mournfully, she tells him that she's no longer the awful person she was. She confesses to hoping Matt will also recognize that and won't be marrying someone else. Matt admits that he felt something that he didn't know he could feel anymore when he spent time with her. However, they can't turn back time. They moved on from each other and into separate lives. So now, he chooses to be with Wendy, who actually cares about him. Seeing her cry, Matt opens his closet and gives her the dollhouse he made when they were 13, which he tried to repair. Happily, Jenna asks to keep it. She then urges him to go to his wedding, assuring him that her tears are tears of joy because she wants Matt to be happy. Before Jenna leaves, Matt also confesses that he's always loved her. Walking out, Jenna sits on their porch and listens to the wedding. As she misses her old life when she had her best friend, she wishes to the dollhouse once more, hoping it'd take her back. The wind blows on the wishing dust, and Jenna wakes up back in the basement closet on her 13th birthday. Just as Matt opens the door, Jenna jumps to kiss him before pulling him away. away. When she comes across Tom Tom on the stairs, Jenna rips the report in her hands and tips her drink to spill on her dress. Years later, Jenna and Matt get married and soon move into their dream home, which they make to be like Jenna's dollhouse. While taking a break from moving furniture, they sit on the couch and happily eat razzles together.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.